Hi guys, hello, welcome to today's video. Very excitingly, we are at the end of September, so that means we are ready to pick our October TBR. And to be festive, I did switch out our jar yet again. I feel like I'm like switching it out every month, but because we are going into October, I decided to use this little cauldron, and I have filled our little cauldron up with a bunch of different prompts, and I've made little black ones again to be festive just for this month. And also, as you can see, we have our TBR cart, and I filled it up with a bunch of different spooky season appropriate books. And before we actually start picking some prompts, I do already have a book on our TBR. So this is The X-Hex. I have been wanting to read this ever since I started this channel, and I just, for whatever reason, have not. I've heard literally so many good things, and this is one of those books that like every October I feel like this resurfaces and everyone like talks about it. This one is essentially like a fluffy romance, and if I remember correctly, I think it's about a girl who puts an X or a hex on her ex. Now let's go ahead and grab our TBR cauldron and pick our first official prompt, and I'm gonna go for this one. So our first prompt is a book with a great first sentence. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a few books from the cart that I just in general want to read, and then we'll read their sentences and kind of pick the better of the few that I end up picking, if that makes sense. First of all, we grabbed The Ravens, and then what else should we grab? We'll grab The Deep. This is another one that I've been wanting to read for quite some time. We'll do Spellbound as well, just because, I don't know, I got this one because of the cover. I just thought it was really cool looking, so I don't know, we'll pick that one. And I think I'm gonna do one more. Let's do, this one is Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch. So we'll pick our first great sentence from one of these. So for Spellbound, let's see what the first sentence of this one is. Aw, okay. I really need to do another video, kind of like my speed dating one, where I read like the first couple of paragraphs or so of each book and kind of like picked my next read that way. I need to do another version of that with the dedications. Some of these books have like the best dedications ever. This one says, to anyone who feels like they don't quite fit in, maybe it's time to break the mold. I love like an encouraging note. But anyway, so this one, the first sentence is hexagon, as in like hex, like this kind of hex. The name didn't quite inspire visions of magical greatness. It was a pun, a bad one, but funnily apt for a local emergency on-call curse breaker. So that's not the first sentence, that's the first like 3 sentences, but I feel like hexagon, that was technically the first sentence, and that just seemed like not enough. I actually kind of like that. I think that sounds fun. So let's move on to The Deep though. And this one, the first sentence is, the old man's head was covered in mantises. That's right. This is one of the ones I think I did a speed date for in the video I was just talking about. I remember that being very bizarre sounding. So that's the first sentence of that one. Also so very intrigued by that. Now we'll do Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch. I was gonna read this dedication to you as well because I also like this one, but I think I'm gonna save it. And I am gonna do that dedication like speed dating video because yeah, some of these books just have really good dedications. But as for the first sentence, this one says, I have really outfucked myself this time. This is gonna be really hard. I liked that one as well. I love like a sense of like humor in a book. Now let's do The Ravens, which this one is about like a sorority of witches, I believe. So let's see what the first sentence of this one is. Should we do the first sentence of the prologue or the actual chapter? We'll do the prologue. It says, the witch looked at the blonde girl cowering on the ground, her eyes wide with fear. I feel like these ones were all kind of like humor based, and this one is actually a little darker. The best thing to grab my attention with the first couple sentences is like something funny or something dark. I think this one is the one I find the least appealing as of right now, so we're gonna go ahead and put that one back on the cart. And it's gonna be between these 3, and this is so hard. So we have the mantises on somebody's head. I don't remember what this one was anymore. Oh, the hexagon. The name didn't quite inspire visions of magical greatness. It was a pun. Okay, I'm gonna read like the first few sentences and see if that helps. So this one again is, I have really outfucked myself this time. I mean, I know I'm already a champion scrub, but if you're waiting for my gold medal moment, well, this is it. My fingers claw at the earth, cold dirt cakes my chipped red nails. The rushing current tugs at my frozen legs, pulling like hands around my ankles, dragging me back to the dark riverbed. So this one has humor and darkness. This one is definitely, I think, grabbing my attention the most. So we're gonna go with Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch, which I'm actually really excited for because first of all, the cover of this one just kind of like screams spooky season, but also I purchased this off of one review that I saw someone do, and I've been really excited to read it ever since. So I feel like that took me forever. So moving on to prompt number 2, and I'm just actually gonna pick one off the top. This one says ends on an odd number of pages. We're gonna kind of do another round of just like grabbing random books that I'm interested in reading. And I'm gonna actually start off with Darkroom Etiquette. This is a book that I saw a couple of years ago and I finally picked it up last year with the intent of reading it, and I didn't. It's basically about a kid, like a teenager I think, that gets, 16-year-old Sawyer. He gets kidnapped and is like trapped in someone's basement. It sounds so dark and creepy, but I'm also really, really intrigued. And also the cover of this looks really cool. So anyway, let's see what this one ends on. Oh my God, are we gonna do this in one shot? I don't think that's ever happened. We are. The last page on this one is 505. So we have a book that ends on an odd number. I don't think I've ever found like the answer to one of these prompts immediately. Prompt number 3, let's pick this one. This one says a book I've been avoiding, which I have a TBR, a physical TBR of over 200 books. So there's quite a lot of books that I've been avoiding. So I should not have a problem figuring this one out. We have The Witches of New York. I have literally been avoiding this since I got it. I think I got this like the first fall that I had this channel, and I got it just because it looked very autumnal and I loved like the image on the cover. But since getting this, I've realized I'm not like the biggest fan of contemporary fiction, so I've just kind of been avoiding the crap out of this one. I've also been avoiding this one. I got this one a couple of falls ago as well. This one is What Big Teeth. I got this one because the cover, again, just looked really cool and like perfect for the season. But after I got it home and I read the back of it, it kind of worried me that it was going to be very similar to Night Bitch, which is a contemporary fiction that has kind of a Bunny by Mona Awad kind of feel, like a very kind of, what is that called? I always forget the term, but it's basically kind of more abstract writing and things like that. I don't like that. Like, I don't like to have to like think about what I'm writing. I just want to read a good story. And I don't know why, but for some reason reading the back of this kind of gives me that vibe. And so I've been avoiding that one. I've also been avoiding this one. This is If We Were Villains. And this is very similar to the X-Hex, where like every fall this book kind of like resurfaces and a lot of people talk about it. This is kind of like one of those classic like fall book recommendation books. And I think that's why I've been avoiding it. Like, I got it because everyone was talking about it and I got really excited because I've heard so many good things about it. But I'm kind of worried now that I've like heard too many good things and it's gonna be disappointing. You know what I mean? Also, in reference to Mona Awad and like Bunny and things like that, I have Rouge by Mona Awad. So that's another kind of like more abstract contemporary fiction, and I've definitely been avoiding that one for the same reason. But I think I'm actually gonna pick between these ones, and honestly I'm leaning more towards this one because it is the least scary out of these three, which I feel like isn't really in spirit of the question. Like, I feel like I should pick the one that I'm like dreading the most, but also I want to actually read my TBR, and I'm scared if I pick one of these I'm just not gonna ever read it. But also with this one I'm kind of getting to that like FOMO state where I just want to like know. I want to see what I'm like missing out on. We're gonna pick If We Were Villains. Now let's go ahead and pick our 4th prompt slash our 5th book on our TBR. We're gonna grab this one, and this one says give an author a second chance. So when I put this one into the jar, I kind of already had an author slash book in mind, and it's Rouge. In a way, I was kind of hoping to pick this prompt to finally like read this book, but now that I've got it in hand and it's actually happening, I am so scared. The little quote at the top says it's a horror-tinged gothic fairy tale about a lonely dress shop clerk whose mother's unexpected death sends her down a treacherous path in pursuit of youth and beauty. Can she escape her mother's fate and find a connection that is more than skin deep? So yeah, if I remember correctly, I think this one is more specifically about like a sinister type of beauty brand or something like that, and like this woman getting entangled with it or something. It sounds really intriguing, but I thought that about Bunny as well. Like, the synopsis of that one sounded so good, and I literally hated everything about it. So I'm really terrified about this one, but we're gonna add it to our TBR anyway. And technically I don't have any more space on here, and I do want to pull a couple more books. So we're gonna scoot these over and pick a couple more. All right, our next prompt is going to be, let's do this one. Ooh, okay, this one says a random color generator to pick cover. So I've popped up a color generator, and we're basically just going to have it generate a color and then pick a cover, obviously with that color on it. And the one that it currently has on there is hideous. So let's go ahead and generate one. It says mint turquoise. This kind of is mint turquoisey at the top. This is kind of like one of the books that I really want to read this year because I got it a couple of years ago and I just keep not reading it. It's basically a collection of short stories. This one also, I feel like maybe, no. This one's a horror book, and this one has kind of similar colors. This one actually, I feel like has exactly that color on the back of it. I actually have quite a few books that have this color in it randomly, but I want to make sure that I pick a book that has like a lot of the color. So something like this one, I don't feel like I should pick because it's barely just like that little corner bit. That being said, a book that we kind of talked about earlier, I feel like this one has literally this exact color and quite a bit of it. So we might be reading this one, which I'm a little nervous about. But also at the same time, I have had this on my TBR for a long time. So if I got it off my TBR, that would be really nice. This one actually also has a lot of that color like in the middle. This is the London Seance Society. I got this from Book of the Month a long time ago. This one has also been on my TBR for quite some time. I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with What Big Teeth. This one is a YA, so it's making me actually feel like it's not like what I originally thought it was gonna be. And it's basically about a girl who has powers of like turning into a werewolf or something like that. It says, Eleanor Zarin has been estranged from her wild, bloodthirsty family for years. When she flees boarding school after a horrifying incident, she goes to the only place she thinks is safe, the home she left behind. But when she gets there, she struggles to fit in with her monstrous relatives who prowl the woods around the family estate and read fortunes in the guts of birds. And then it says she's like trying to make sense of her emerging power. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and go with this one. I think that's all the prompts I'm going to actually pull from the jar, but I do want to still do our Kindle wheel spin. All of these books have kind of like a October, Halloween-y, spooky season kind of vibe to them, so I'm very excited. The first one that we have is Necromance. This one was actually a suggestion from one of my book club members for our October read. I didn't end up adding that one to the poll, but I added it to my Kindle wheel because it did sound really, really good. And then we also have The Death King, which has been on the wheel before, but I felt like the cover looked very Halloween-esque. And then we have Rock Hard Gargoyle. I hate saying that title, but this one is a spicy gargoyle romance. The majority of the books that are on my Kindle wheel are typically spicy. Then we also have The Book Swap. I don't remember exactly what this one was about, but I remember it having kind of like a thriller type of vibe. And then we have Bloody Mary, which is specifically something that creeped me out as a kid. I don't know if people do it these days, but like back in the day when I was a kid, we used to do the whole like Bloody Mary in the mirror thing, and I was always really scared. Then we have Ghosts of Halloween. This one, I mean, it literally has Halloween in the title. And then last but not least, we have Dead Girls Don't Talk. And this one I did actually add as an option for our book club, but it's looking like it's not gonna win. I think at the moment it's like dead last. But I think personally it sounds so cool. Basically it's about two friends. One of them ends up going missing, and in the book, like while you're reading, I don't know how it's gonna work, but basically you have kind of like a choose your own adventure type of thing. It is a dual narrative, so you get both sides of these girls' stories, but you get to pick which one you start with or something like that. I don't know. It sounds really intriguing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and spin our wheel and we'll see what we end up getting. And we got Dead Girls Don't Talk. I'm honestly so freaking excited. That was definitely, like, I want to read all of these, but that was one of the ones that I was like at the tippy top of what I wanted to read. It just sounds so interesting and I'm so intrigued. And with that, those are all of the books that we're going to be picking in this video. But I did actually want to add a couple of extra books to our TBR, specifically these two books. This one is Mary by Nat Cassidy. I got this one a couple of years ago. Pretty much every horror book that I have, I bought like 2 to 3 years ago, and I just have not picked them up. I don't read horror very often. That being said, I have had this one for a long time. I've heard so many good things. Like this one I actually found in recommendation videos, and it kind of like across the board, people said that like if you like horror, you should read this book. And then also I want to read The Child Thief. This one is going to be like honestly last priority as far as my TBR, but I'm very interested in this one. So this is by Brom, and last October I read Slewfoot by the same author, and it was such a good book and like perfect for the season. So I kind of want to read another one of his books this October as well. And this one in particular is kind of like a Peter Pan retelling, which is extra intriguing because if all of his books are similar to Slewfoot, they definitely have a creepy kind of vibe to them, and I'm all for a creepy Peter Pan. So with that, those are all of the books that are going to be on my TBR for October. We have quite the intimidating stack now that I'm like actually grabbing all of these. This might be too many. And as a little refresher, our October TBR is The Ex-Hex, Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch, Darkroom Etiquette, If We Were Villains, Rouge, What Big Teeth, Mary, The Child Thief, and then Dead Girls Don't Talk. And actually speaking of Dead Girls Don't Talk, I also have my book club book that I need to read as well. And I'm actually going to try to upload this video the same day that I'm filming it. And if I'm able to do that, if you want to join the book club, you will actually have time to still vote. Here's currently the options that we have for the book club. We have Girls Don't Talk, Anathema, Starling House, Gothicana, Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch, and Alchemized. And currently Anathema is in the lead with 36%, but Alchemized is at 30%. So it's safe to say that one of those two books will be picked. And with that, I think that is everything I wanted to say. Let me know in the comments what books are on your October TBR. Maybe we have some crossover, some similar books. And with that, I hope you guys have had the most amazing of days, and I will hopefully see you in my next one. Bye guys.